The mission to build an economy totally independent from oil remains the main driver of development for Delta State, and infrastructure servicing all sectors of the economy a key prerequisite. The majority of these infrastructure projects, however, are undertaken by the state government, with a view to create a conducive business environment to attract investors from the private sector.
We are looking at companies that were running in the state before, like many parts of Nigeria, and those companies or industries are today down. You know, they are not functioning. So we are looking at strategies of resuscitating them. So what our team has done, we have what we call the economic advisory team. So what they have done is to identify those companies across the state and look for partners that will come and say resuscitate the company. So we have about 2 or 3 now, 3 investors who are already discussing with the owners of these moribund companies. There's a brewery, there's a rubber industry, there's two rubber industries actually that are ongoing. So a lot of people are taking interest in these moribund companies. Then we have a whole private new investment. These ones are just totally new investors that are coming and trying to put up shop, so to say, in Delta.
Planned special economic zones like the Cocoa Free Trade Zone, the Warri Industrial and ICT Park are just some examples of the rollout of infrastructure projects to be driven by the private sector in the long run. Bismarck Rawani heads the Delta State Economic Advisory Team. He says the government's strategy to attract and retain investors goes beyond providing infrastructure.
On the 23rd of February, the governor is going to have an evening with the CEOs. 25 top CEOs in Nigeria are going to be meeting with the governor at the Intercontinental Hotel in Lagos. There, at that forum, we're going to say it's a one-stop shop. If a company, a brewing company wants to invest in Delta, what do you want? The governor, the Commissioner for Lands, the Commissioner for Justice will be there and give him all the incentives that it requires. So that is key. The will, the willingness, and the incentive to make people invest. So we are coming out of the market, not waiting for the market to come to us.
The Warri Industrial Business Park tops the list of mega projects designed by Delta State government to drive investment and industrialization in the state. The integrated park, which sits on 329 hectares of land, will host a cluster of heavy and light industries, factories, warehouses, office complex, commercial retail outlets, hotels, residential apartments, and recreational facilities. The first phase of the project is expected to be completed by December 2014 at an estimated cost of $1.5 million.
It provides opportunity for private partners to come in, private sector partners to come in, especially private equity funds managers, to come in to have things like the independent power plants run that place. That provides an opportunity and an outlet for them. Corn oil is currently located in that premises. Chevron is currently located in that premises in terms of having their businesses in that integrated complex where we have that mixed development. So these, by and large, are key players, and a whole lot of anchor tenants are being sourced to run the independent power plant, to provide and manage the water and waste system in that environment. Government has also spent significant amount of money with professionals like Jurong to do a master plan. Foreign investors would truly want to see that you have professionally put things in place. And who puts that in place is very critical to them. Jurong of Singapore is a brand in park construction and management. And engineering. They also did the engineering work for the iconic administrative building, which is about 7 or 8 floors, as it were. The KPMG also did the numbers, the financials. What does that mean to you? Because the foreign investor who is coming in is also going to say to you, who has crunched these numbers? We can't just believe on any figures that we see that you bandy around. And that's exactly what we have done.
The Warri Business Park is designed to be a plug-and-play center, and government is currently working on the provision of basic infrastructure such as roads, streetlights and underground pipe works. At the moment, the construction of the park's administrative building is ongoing.
It's about 7 floors, and this is where the project will be managed from. Chevron is going to be here, Warri Industrial Business Park, Delta State Government, they are the sponsors of this entire project. So many of them are going to be in this building. Then there's a road project going on. It's about 11.9 kilometers of road. We have many roads. This A5, we call this A5. It's going to be the longest road of this project. Then we have lots of roads that go this way. Currently, we're in the filling stage of the project. We're going to see street lights. We're going to put up street lights, drainage. Along every part of the road is going to have drainage. Even this building is going to have its own drainage system. So lots of things, street lights, roads, walkways, and hopefully lots more will come up along the way.
The project will cover a floor area of over 10,000 square meters with office space available for leasing. The Warri Business Park will include a recreational center and adequate shading and shelter. The park will also operate as a free trade zone. The free trade zone status offers businesses operating within the park security, tax and labor benefits. Strategically situated within various states, national road and rail networks, the park is a 5-kilometer drive from the Warri International Airport and a 12-kilometer drive from the Warri Seaport. The location was carefully selected based on business considerations, including its proximity to both gas supply and a pipeline network to facilitate the distribution of gas to power industries.
Externalities, roads, water, transportation, all that needs to be done in the external economy, will be integrated to what is going to happen in that park. And that will give investors confidence whatever they are producing in that park can easily either be exported by sea or by air or by road.
Nigeria's federal government is in line with the vision of industrializing Delta State, which is the second highest producer of oil in Nigeria. In collaboration with the state government, an oil and gas city estimated to cost a whopping $20 billion is to be constructed in Ogidigbe in Delta State. Designed to be Africa's largest oil and gas hub, the state's Commissioner for Oil and Gas says the benefits are far-reaching.
We're taking gas from the entire Delta State and putting a gas hub, a gas cracker in Escravos in Ogidigbe, whereby a fertilizer plant who need gas could tap gas, whereby a petrochemical company that need gas could tap gas, whereby a rubber company who are making plastic shells and all that needs gas, even people producing drugs and all of that who need gas could come in and tap gas and site their investment there. What government has given out so far is about 2,800 hectares. This is massive, it's huge. So you have various companies that will come in and do their investment there.
You go around Delta, I'm sure in all your travels, you see us flaring gas and all that. That is going to put all that to an end. Because what is going to happen is that, going forward, they found shale gas in America very soon, and that is why it's good to do these things. Fuel, as we know it, oil and all that, might not be the way forward. I think the future is gas, and we are wasting gas in Nigeria. And what that project is going to do is that we are going to now start using gas very constructively.
Steady progress is also being made in delivering critical pipelines infrastructure. A seaport will be constructed close to the hub, which can accommodate ocean-bound vessels.
This project was originally sited for cocoa. The ship to come into the Bower Mount and move to cocoa, the dredging work that will be required will be about 12-kilometer dredging work. And that is huge. That investment alone is too huge for federal government. That's why federal government say, okay, since we can't dredge 12 kilometers, let's situate it in a place that is open to the sea, that the ship can just come in. NPA is building a new port there, so that the ship just landside and take this product and go back.
Industrializing the state, however, is one thing. Having a skilled workforce to take advantage of the opportunity is another. At the height of youth restiveness and insecurity in Delta State between 2004 and 2007, unemployment was cited as a major cause.
The issue of human capital development is one of our key areas. And that, of course, involves capacity building for whatever areas that they are needed. We are doing a lot in assisting our children to go to universities, a lot of scholarship schemes. Of course, for first class, it's automatic. Now, hoping that these schemes will encourage and prepare our young ones for the industrial revolution that will explode from Delta State. Now, it is not only just through that route that we're getting our people ready. We're also getting our people ready through the skills area, because skill acquisition is very key.
At present, the state government says it's working to ensure a good number of its youths are employed during and after its completion, and not just as casual workers.
We're building a gas city that will be under construction at the peak, 150,000 people working. You could imagine that if 150,000 people are working in Delta State in Nigeria, you could imagine what the level of employment of that area that will drive down drastically, and security will improve. So what we're doing as a government is to create an enabling environment. The land has been secured, massive land. During construction, there will be over 5,000 housing units built there. There will be banks, there will be hotels. NNPC has secured a lot of investors already who are ready to partner the PPE. Now we have investors who are coming in from India, who are coming to build the petrochemical plant. While we have investors for Saudi Arabia who are coming to build petrochemical plant, fertilizer plant. And when all this investment come, you could imagine how Delta State will look like. And you could imagine the revenue that will accrue to government. Because if 150,000 people are even paying taxes, even assuming it's 5,000 naira per month, per head, you could see what that will generate to the coffers of Delta State.
However, we must remember that gas is a highly capital-intensive industry, and the skills required to work there are pretty high. The people in the gas city may not benefit directly from it, but they will benefit from the revenue and the uses, what I call the downstream and ancillary businesses that will come from it. There must be a strategic Marshall Plan to ensure that the people benefit from it. If not, they are just going to have a tale of two cities where there'll be very affluent and extremely rich people from the gas, and there'll be very, very poor people who are going to be parasites and dependents, and those people can become dysfunctional. There should be inclusiveness, there should be ownership, right? And it can, nobody must be left behind.
Delta State is home to a rich mix of natural and agricultural resources, which service the raw material needs of many industries. This acts as a pool for industries with a need to operate close to the source of their critical raw materials. Delta State is pursuing the development of its natural resource as a means to reduce poverty, create employment, and set the pace for industrialization. Some of the most common agricultural and natural resources available in Delta State include crude oil, rubber, oil palm, and timber. A resource that's hard to miss, however, is the state's 163-kilometer coastline. It comes as no surprise that the state has decided to pursue an agenda of driving diversification through agriculture with a keen focus on aquaculture. There are fish farms spread across Delta State, most of them in large clusters. In Delta State, however, the large number does not translate to profit for the farmer or affordable fish in the market for consumers. A major factor being the high cost of pelletized fish feed.
There are importers that goes to Israel and Ghana and all to import the feed. So of course, that will translate to waste in foreign exchange, because the foreign feed, we use it here, we pay them, they take our money out. So if we have our own factory here, locally factory here, our resources will remain with us.
In collaboration with the private sector, the state's Commissioner for Commerce and Industry says the situation is on its way to being remedied.
To have a pelletized floating feed, you need an extruder and a micro grinder, a mixer. The three critical components is the mixer, the micro grinder, and twin extruder. So we're doing pelletized feeds from 1 millimeter to 9 millimeter. That means, therefore, that we are addressing the entire range of fish production, of fish feed production. And that's what we have done.
The investors here are going to be local investors, the clusters of these fish farmers and all that. And that's wonderful for economy, because what will happen is that it will engender a lot of action within even these local players in the aquaculture business in Delta, which is good for us.
In October 2013, Nigeria's federal government placed a ban on the importation of fish. Figures provided by the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development reveals that between 2010 and 2012, Nigeria imported an average of 780,000 metric tons of frozen fish annually from Europe, Latin America, and Asia, worth about 100 billion naira. With an annual fish demand estimated at 2.66 million metric tons, Nigeria currently produces about 0.78 million metric tons, leaving a demand-supply gap of about 1.8 million metric tons. The State's Commissioner for Commerce and Industry says the decision by the federal government could not have come at a better time.
Two things will happen. There will be fish scarcity, and you know that's our major source of protein here in Nigeria. But I can tell you, price of fish will go up. Price of the feed itself will go up. But what we're doing will be likely encouraged and patronized. Because for us in Delta State, we have a captive market. We just came back from an investment forum in Dublin last week. And Dublin, Nigeria accounts for 13% of the consumption of some specific brand of fish that they produce. And Dublin has only 7.5 kilometer coastline, whilst Delta has 163 kilometer coastline. So part of our visit, the objective of our visit, is to attract them to Nigeria, in Delta in particular, to see that there are a lot of investment outlets.
In partnership with a Chinese firm, the technology required to make pelletized fish feed is to be made available in the rural areas in Delta State, where fish farms are located. Here in Warri, steel work for the factories are being fabricated. Once completed, the machines will fit in.
In terms of operations, essentially, it's not too much of a technical, high-skill technical operations. Like I said, mixing, grinding, extruding. Quite a lot of small-scale operations are already doing that. Only that this is now a much more mechanized and high-volume output. So I don't think we'll have operating problems. But the fact that the raw materials will be 100%, the bulk of them, and then you're compounding them here and being able to produce them here would obviously make it cheaper than the imported feed.
And more affordable fishes.
More affordable fishes. I think that's a strong point.
Yeah. Delta State's fish farmers are the major stakeholders in this project. 45% of the feed mill will be owned by local fish farmers, 35% by co-investors, and 20% by the government.
So your question will be, how are the fish farmers funding their 45%? It's simple. We have set out this 1 billion to be able to allow SMEs access them to grow their businesses. So between government and Bank of Industry, we are seeding that as loan to them from the funds that we have there. So see, government is not just creating a concept, expanding, building on the concept. Government is also providing finance in the short to medium term for these businesses to take off.
While an available market exists for the business, the government says there's still room for investment in cold rooms and fish dryers. So far, the state's most successful public-private partnership is the recently concluded kidney transplant at the state's tertiary teaching hospital, Warri. The transplant was done in collaboration with the University of Texas Southwest Dallas through the Global Health Initiative in the United States of America. The first of its kind in the state and the South-South region of Nigeria, the governor, also a medical doctor, says the vision of a region becoming a medical hub is gradually becoming a reality.
The Delta State University Teaching Hospital, DELSUT at Warri, is a hospital that we are bringing up to a standard that can take a lot of cases. Because we cannot take all the cases, or we cannot deal with all the areas. We have selected some specialties in which we think we should focus on and be able to deal with any case there. The specialties renal area, orthopedics, of course neonatology being childhood activities between the first day or the day of birth to 28 days. That's neonatology. Of course, the obstetric gynecology, and then the services, laboratory and radiology services. So those are areas we are building up. We've not quite finished building up to such a standard that they can take on any cases. Now, in terms of the personnel, what we've tried to do is to bring some diaspora people to work with our local personnel. And of course, the equipment, we're equipping to the highest standard. Now, talking particularly about the specialties, we've been able to build up the orthopedic to such a way now that that hospital has one of the best orthopedic units in Nigeria today. We're able to do knee transplants, we're able to do hip transplants, the modern technology for doing those surgeries. Even the neonatology unit, we have equipment now called the CPAP. I think we're only about the only government hospital in Nigeria that has a CPAP. And CPAP, with that, we can manage babies that are born with very low weight, even 700 grams. You know, we can manage such cases because of that kind of equipment.
The Chief Medical Director of the hospital, Leslie Akporiaye, says the success was not only recorded in the transplant, but also in the skills acquired by the doctors during the build-up to the surgery.
It required training, observership, awareness creation by a group of people, staff, because such things don't involve just one person. It's a group, it's a team of people, nurses, anesthesiologists, laboratory scientists, pharmacists. So I sent a number of people to Dallas for varying periods of time, from nephrologists, anesthetists, ICU specialists, and a surgeon, basically to go and observe the way they do things. So to provide a sense of what we needed to do. Fortunately for us, the screening that involves laboratory work, which had to be done out of the country, will now not be done out of the country. Because in this process of developing facilities here for this program, we've developed a really high-level laboratory.
Nigeria is known to have a high number of renal diseases. While doctors are yet to ascertain the cause, the doctor says the successful transplant at Oghara will contribute to reducing the number of patients who leave the country for treatment and, in most cases, post-surgery checkups.
Now you come here and we'll provide the facility at a considerably reduced cost. And then the testing for evaluation and everything is available here, which will be nowhere near as expensive as if you went to England, if you went to India. And then you have drug level testing. Going forward, subsequent maintenance, it will be very much cheaper.
A grant set aside by the state government for the treatment of renal diseases has also made treatment affordable for patients in the state. This has led to an increase in the number of reported renal diseases. Patients who shied away from treatment in the past owing to the cost of treatment are now hopeful. Dr. Akporiaye, however, believes the initiative must be sustained through more public-private partnerships.
Really important services have to be protected by, I would say, PPPs, public-private partnerships. It guarantees the availability of the resources that you need, maintains the resources and all, and then you incentivize the people who are working. So the service is there for everybody to use. The service is there to train people, and the service is there for research.
Believed to have one of the most sophisticated intensive care units in the country and neonatal service, the hospital, which was commissioned in 2010, has witnessed improvements in services, personnel and facility, mostly made possible through public-private partnerships.
So data really is the choice for any investor that is coming to Nigeria. We have the raw materials, we have the infrastructure, we have the peace and security, and of course we have the human beings that welcome them.
The economic transition of Delta from an oil-dependent, dysfunctional security risk state to becoming a non-oil dependent, a state with accelerated and sustainable economic growth, and having the structural shifts and changes that will take from one end of the value chain to the other, and increasing the GDP and productivity of the state. This is a transition that is going to take some years, but the foundations have been laid and the projects have started.
From the Warri Industrial Park, the oil and gas city, fish feed mills, to a planned construction of a leisure park here in Delta State, public-private partnership projects continue across the state, all geared to steer the state's economy away from oil. I'm Onyi Sunday. Thanks for watching.